Who doesn't love a chilled glass of rosé on a hot summer day? I talk with one of Provence's most intriguing producers in this episode of The Honest Pour.
Welcome to The Honest Pour with John Lenart, where we go beyond the bottle to connect you with the people and places that make each wine so unique.
Summertime is approaching, and it's time to start popping that summertime favorite, rosé. Light and fruity with the acidity to stand up to food, but some can become characterless. Not so when it comes to the wines of Chateau Gassier in the Saint-Victoire region of Provence in France. Hi, I'm John Lenart, and joining me today is Olivier Souvilain, President and General Manager of Chateau Gassier in Provence. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How did you get into the wine business?
Oh, it was just after my school, business school. My dream was to work around the French wine activity. And I learned everything about the wine in Burgundy during my first job. I was 21, 22, and I learned in a very small vineyard in Moret-Saint-Denis. And the owner of the vineyards explained to me how during the harvest, during the vinification, and I stay 15 years in Burgundy. So I learned everything about wine in Burgundy.
And growing up, was wine part of your house, part of the family life?
My grandfather was he owned a shop of grocery, you know. He sold wine. The name in France, it's a very old name, was Félix Potin. Maybe my father liked wine. And in my mind, since I was very young, I always think about French product, wine and food. So it was wine, and now I'm 48, so the story begins I was 21, so.
And what took you, so you got into the wine business after school, and you were in Burgundy. What took you to Provence?
Alors, between Burgundy and Provence, I stayed 15 years in Burgundy, so I realized the production of wine. And after 15 years in Burgundy, I have a choice to go to Paris to manage a distribution wine company. So for me, it was a new challenge because it was after business school production part, but not distribution part. So I managed a company in Paris 8 years ago, a big distributor with sold wine only for hotels and restaurants, with a lot of foreign wine, and then we call in France New World wine, so Californian, Chile, Argentina, and a lot of Italian wine. So I managed this company with 80 people. It was really a big company. And after 8 years, an opportunity to change life with my wife and children and to go to the south of France. As you know, the south of France is really a dream for a lot of people. And I confirm it's a dream.
Not a bad place to live.
And I arrived in Provence in 2010 and managed the estate of Gassier. Just in the same time, the Provence category grew a lot, because, you know, Provence is very new. As we said in Burgundy, you can say on the label since 1850. In Provence, when you say it since 1960 or 1970, it's very old history for Provence. So we grow a lot. We decide a lot of investment of the vineyards. We replant a lot. We change for organic production, and we sell a lot of wine in a lot of country.
Provence being a fairly new wine region for France. Tell me a little bit about the history of Chateau Gassier.
Chateau Gassier was created by the Gassier family. They booked the vineyards in 1961. The Gassier family is a family from Provence because the owner, the father Gassier, whose name is Anthony Gassier, comes from South French Alps. So they booked Chateau Gassier in 1961. And they create Chateau Gassier. So now we booked vineyards in 2005, and we work with Georges Gassier, with the son to Anthony. And Georges work in my team, is responsible of the vineyard, and we decide together, for example, harvest, we decide replantation, we decide which grape we will use, and so we work together with the Gassier family.
When you arrived, that was sort of the beginning of the organic farming, yeah?
No. We change a lot of things with my arrival, and we decide to invest a lot in the vineyards. So we replant more than 18 hectares. our aim is to produce only 40 hectares. It means 100 acres. Our aim is to produce only Sainte Victoire wine. So maybe we will discuss after about Sainte Victoire with the rules of Sainte Victoire. But just to know, to produce Sainte Victoire, you need to have in your vineyards minimum 50% Grenache and or Shiraz. So we decide to replant Grenache and Shiraz. Plan your vine is 45, 50, 55, depend of the where. But in Provence, 55, 60, you have to change because you need juice to produce rosé. If you want to produce a great red wine, you ask to your vine to produce 20 or 25 hectoliters. Yes, okay. If you want to produce a great rosé wine, it's impossible to produce rosé with only a very small volume. So you need to have vine in a very, very strong. So it means, during the 30 or 40 years, it's very good. So we replant a lot and we decide in 2011 to change for organic production. Just because we are convinced in the future. Today, when we say organic, people say, oh, why are you organic? We are convinced that in the future, people will say, oh, why are you conventional? Because organic in Provence, it's normal. We have the weather. We have after the rain, we have the wind, Mistral, called Mistral. So it's not easy to produce organic because there is a lot of rules and you lose a lot of volume at the beginning. But we are sure in the future, maybe, I don't know when, but maybe 5, 10 years, for all the vineyards from the south of France, it will be natural to produce organic.
Sure.
Because it's a way of the story, you know.
Have you seen a change in the vineyards since the beginning of organic farming?
Crazy.
And what have you seen? What's different now?
It's crazy because you consider you have a vineyard follow since 40 years with a conventional agriculture. So conventional, you put a lot of product, you know, and you give food to your vine. So it's easy. It's like a baby. If you want, if you're hungry, you say, we put the food in your mouth. It's you're happy. When it's the same for the vineyard, the vine, it's easy. So the roots stay just at the level of the soil because they receive some food direct, you know. When you decide to change for organic, the first thing you do is you put grass around, in the vineyard. Every 3, I don't know the term, every 3
rows,
you put grass, to give, some hazard and to permit after the rain to go with the tractor in the vineyard. If you have only soil, normal soil, if it's raining, your tractor compress the soil and it's not good. When you put grass, you have to work your soil. And when you work the soil like that, you cut all the roots, superficial roots. So during the 2 or 3 years, you see the volume going down and your vine take time to find a new strategy. And the new strategy is to going down because you stop to give, food just at the surface of the soil. So it's one of the reasons. It's not only one reason, but it's one of the reasons why we decrease a lot with volume, around 25% during the first 3 or 4 years. It's one of the reasons before to become organic, to put the label, the logo organic in the label. The law asks you to wait 4 years. Okay. Just to clean the soil during 4 years, because it's not normal if you are conventional this year to be organic next year. You know, it's if you take antibiotic for your health, it's the same. You have to take time to
wait till it gets into the system.
So yes, change about volume, change because with organic you have to work a lot by hand. When you plant one vineyard during the 3, 4, 5 years that we call new vine, it's impossible to go with a chemical product. So you have to, I don't know the term, when you have bad herbs in your near the vine, you have to cut by hand, you know. So it's different. And the big difference for us is when you are organic, you need to study your vineyard. When it's conventional, okay, it's raining, product. It's like that. But after a long time, it's it's not a reflection. It's automatic. When you are organic, every time you need to observe, to ask why, So it's a change, yes. Big change.
Terrific. Where exactly in Provence is Chateau Gassier located?
In the Sainte-Victoire Valley, it means, if you consider Aix-en-Provence, we are just 15 minutes on the east of Aix-en-Provence, 35 minutes to the northeast of Marseille, and just at the foothill of the Sainte-Victoire mountain, beautiful mountain, painting by Paul Cézanne, more than 74 times different view of the Sainte-Victoire mountain.
You were talking a little bit earlier about Sainte-Victoire has some specific rules regarding their vineyards. What are those rules?
Sainte-Victoire is a valley. It's between Aix-en-Provence and a small village of Pourcieux. It's 15 kilometers, like that, and 3 kilometers north to south. So it's very small. In 2005, we obtained from the French authority the term of cru Sainte-Victoire. It's that we call in France terroir denomination. There is 4 terroir denomination in Provence. You have the first was Sainte-Victoire and Lalonde near the sea, Fréjus it's Saint-Raphaël, and the last one 2 years ago was Pierrefeu. Pierrefeu is the big valley between before Toulon, before here. Sainte-Victoire terroir, French, after 10 years of working by the Sainte-Victoire viticulturist, we asked to the French authority to recognize that our rosé are rosé de Provence, no problem, but our terroir is very specific and we produce specific wine. And if there is a common point for all the Sainte-Victoire wines, it's wine for gastronomy. It's more full-bodied wine, more structured wine than classic wine from Provence. It's different reason, because it's a valley, because valley is in altitude. It's not Bordeaux or Toulon near the sea. We are around 350 meters above the sea. So it's not mountain, but it's permit to have low, cold night, hot day, cold night. It means a beautiful effect for the vineyard, for the acidity and for sugar in the grapes. You may have during the harvest, we harvest by night between 4 and 8 a.m. when the temperature is coldest. And you may have more than in Celsius, 15 or 18 degrees difference between 4 a.m. and 12 or 1 p.m. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge difference, and a cold night permit to the vine to have a specificity. We use, as I said, 50% minimum Grenache on our Shiraz, and we reduce volume. The maximum authorized by the law is 50 hectoliters per hectare. If you consider normal Provence, it's 55.
What other grape varieties are you growing?
The most important, like in everywhere in Provence, are Grenache, Shiraz, Cinsault, for the 3 most important. In our case, we use more and more Vermentino, that we call Rolle in Provence, R-O-L-L-E. We use Cabernet Sauvignon, no more than 5%. Sometimes Carignan, sometimes Mourvèdre.
In all estate fruit, you grow all your own fruit.
For Chateau Gassier, it's only if you put on your label Chateau, it means it's from your own vineyard. We buy grapes for the Esprit Gassier, but we buy grapes around us in the Sainte-Victoire Valley to keep the same style, the same spirit, like Esprit, it's spirit of Gassier.
Mm-hmm. Rosés from Provence are often looked at as inexpensive, easy drinking, not always incredibly dynamic wines, but they're inexpensive and fun to drink. What are you doing to separate your brand out from that stereotype?
The specificity, for my part, of Gassier, as I say to every day, to all the team and all the customer I met, is to keep quality. Because it's very easy to say. And everybody will say the same. I agree. But we can say, when you have a market with a growth like 50% per year, it's dangerous for the future because it's so easy. Then people could put in the bottle everything from Provence, but not the best quality, because if the market is easy, if you can find a distributor, importer very easy, I think for the next 5 or 6 years, the difference will be around the quality. When we taste a lot of brand on the market, we are sure that in US, like everywhere, the top quality require the top attention, because if you want to keep the growth on the market, you have to be very prudent and honest with the quality.
Rosé's seen this crazy growth over the past 6-7 years in the U.S. You know, it used to be Rosé was in the American consumer's mind, white Zinfandel. A little sweet, real simple, super cheap. You know, the wine your aunt would drink.
But you know, I'm very optimistic, but because when you consider the market share of Rosé in US, not for Provence, for Rosé, in my mind, I think it's less than 3 or 4%.
But yeah, it's completely changed now. It used to be, so then a couple of years back, Rosé became very trendy in the summertime. It's a summertime wine, great for summertime. And then now, as of like the last year and a half, we're hearing, oh, Rosé all year round.
Yes.
Which must make you happy.
Sure. Sure. But the market share of Rosé is very low in US. And the market share of the Provence wine in the category of Rosé is less than 1%. I can say Chicago, where we are. I visit yesterday some account, shop, restaurant. There is no Provence Rosé. In my mind, I think I will find in Chicago, like Manhattan or like Boston. And we taste with consumer and people don't know. They know the name, but they never taste. Yesterday they said it's the first time. It's beautiful. So I am very optimistic for the future because there is, for example, Chicago, there is an avenue in front of us to create something new. You know, a trend, you have to consider in France, 15 years ago, the market share of Rosé was less than 10%. Today, it's 33% of Rosé, not for Provence. Provence is 40% in this market share.
So what types of wines does Chateau Gassier produce? What wines do you produce?
3 wines. 3 wines. It's one of our strategy is to put wine for each category or each moment of consumption. It means the first one is Esprit Gassier. It's the key entry level because it's a lot of nose, a lot of flower, white flower, pineapple, mango. And with this wine, the category is retail is 18. So it's just the entry level of the category. And with this wine, you can understand what is the Gassier spirit. Because as I said, we are in Sainte-Victoire Valley, and in Sainte-Victoire Valley, we produce different rosé with more structure, more gastronomic wine. So it's very easy to drink for aperitif, for easy lunch, easy dinner. After, we offer to the US market our estate vineyard, let's say, with Le Pas du Moine, who means the path of the monk. Why the path of the monk? Because it's a very strange name. At the top of the mountain, behind, on the north face, you have a monasterio, old monasterio, and where the monk from Aix-en-Provence climbed the mountain to go to the monasterio, they walk on the trail, and the trail named today is the path of the monk, because the trail where the monk go.
Does that lead out of the Chateau Gassier vineyard?
It's just here, and the trail is behind.
Right out of the vineyard.
And you go
Oh, terrific.
up. And when you arrive at the top of the mountain, you have a big cross whose name is Croix de Provence. And the altitude of the cross is 946 meters. So it's the last wine we propose is 946. So the story is you want to climb the mountain. You take 2 bottles in a bag. One is the path of the monk. And when you arrive at the top of the mountain, you can drink the top of a range with 946.
Sounds like a pretty good afternoon. That's great.
It will be, maybe it's dangerous to go down.
Right, yeah. Before we taste, tell me a little bit about the vinification process. I know I read that you do bladder press, no O2.
Like all the Provence rosé, 99% is pellicular maceration. We invest in 2011 in a very specific press machine. You have the press machine and you have a big bag. And when we press the grapes, we inject inside the press machine this neutral gas. We push the oxygen outside, neutral gas. And when the grapes open inside the press machine, it's totally safe of oxygen. It means it permits to keep safe from oxidation the juice. And for rosé, if you want to obtain beautiful color and wine, it's very important.
So it helps extract the color but keep the wine fresh.
Sure. So specific press machine, we use a lot that we call with a specific stainless steel tank with a lot of cold. We use and we call débourbage. It means we put the wine in this tank during 5, 7, 8 days to -1 or 2. So permits to the lees to go down. Mm-hmm. And to blend with the lees to extract a lot of flavor. And so it's a normal process for us. For 946, it's different. The beginning of the process is the same, but we keep more than 30% of the wine in a specific oak barrels, not a common oak barrels, because we booked oak barrels in Austria in a company whose name is Stockinger. Stockinger, they supply oak for great white Burgundy, great Alsace wine, white wine, and great wine from Germany, from Rhine Valley. Because the oak is like a fresh oak. It means the oak is for your wine, it's just to structure the wine, not to smell oak. So you have oak, so you can smell it, but it's very light and it permits just to give the structure to the wine. And with this process, we create 946 5 years ago. I can say it's a great success today because 946, it's always, I know in United States, you like when we speak, not in bottle, but in cases. So it's, 800 cases. Yes.
Oh, small production then.
Very small production, just, for our customer allocation.
Only on allocation.
Only on allocation. Just to give you an idea, we allocate for US market for the first year, 50 cases of 12. Just to give you an idea, 946 today you can find in France to 2 or 3 stars Michelin. And 2 weeks ago, Air France, the French company, decided to propose 946 to the first class. So it means the first time they will serve a rosé with a great chef in the plane. You know, it's a specific beautiful food, and they will serve 946 with maybe Dom Pérignon or Chateau Lafite. It's for us, it's really a great success. And in the French not newspaper, but magazine around wine. Journalists say that 946, it's really the rosé for gastronomy. You can use 946 for complete dinner or lunch, with a lot of food, and it's specific to the Saint-Victor Valley.
Terrific. Well, let's taste some wine. So tell me a little bit about the Esprit Gassier.
So Esprit Gassier, we blend the 3 most important grapes as we spoke. It's Shiraz, Grenache, and Cinsault. For this wine, we're a team of enologists. We buy grapes in the Saint-Victor Valley. As I said, we try to do the entry level. So it's not a low price. It's entry level. It means how to understand the Gassier spirit in one bottle. With this bottle, we try to convince people to come in Provence, in the Provence category, and to discover after other Provence like Saint-Victor. So it means spirit of Saint-Victor, because you have in your mouth a lot of structure, well-balanced, roundness, but easy to drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lovely fruit, great body.
The wine will be available in a bottle, Magnum.
Long finish, huh?
Yes.
Keeps going.
It's really typical from the Saint-Victor Valley. The difference when I say it, because it's easy to say, each producer will say this wine is the best, you know. But it's normal. It's human. But when you drink Saint-Victor wine, the difference is the structure of the wine. You have a lot of Provence rosé who come from near the sea. It's very, very good, very expressive at the beginning. But during the summer, the wine begin to change, you know, because there is pale color, but there is no structure. Our wine, Le Pas du Moine and 946, just to give you an example about 946, we had a tasting 1 month ago, 1 month and a half with Paolo Basso, who was best sommelier over the world 2013. It's a Swiss guy. Mm-hmm. And we taste 946, 2012, 13, 14, 15. Like a great red wine, you know?
The colors are very consistent throughout, too.
Yes.
Pretty color.
It's very important, and it's all the difficulties to produce a rosé, because when people say, oh, rosé, yes, rosé, you know, it's very easy. Yes, but to produce a rosé, you have to keep a very pale pink color if you want to have success. If you propose a very dark rosé, nobody wants. Nobody asks for rosé. But if you have a very pale color, sometimes you have no wine, you know, because you need to keep maceration in the press machine between the skin and the juice. So it's always a balance between both color and juice and structure.
Before we taste the Le Pas du Moine, tell me about the shape of the bottle. Very unusual, kind of like a bowling pin.
It's a new bottle for this vintage. Last year it was a borderless bottle, and we decided to change because if you want to do the difference for the exportation, not for France it's different, because for France you have only French wine in France, so it's easy to understand why. if you want to do the difference on the export market, not only in US, if you propose a wine, a borderless bottle for Provence, you have a risk in the shelf to have borderless from Chile, borderless from Spain, borderless bottle from Italy, and borderless from Provence. So nobody knows which area is it. If you want to do the difference with a specific bottle like that, people recognize immediately the shape of Provence. The shape of Provence is always very round. Maybe you know the historic bottle whose name is flûte à corset. You know, a bottle with corset in French means at the Middle Age, corset, for women, corset. It's the same.
The same.
So it's in the spirit of the Provençal shape to recognize, and the first reason, and the second reason, because we think it's beautiful like that, you know? It's very feminine so I think it's a very elegant form.
Great. Let's taste wine.
So Shiraz, Grenache, less Cinsault than Esprit Gassier. We use more Vermentino and maximum 5% Cabernet Sauvignon and 3% of Uni Blanc.
Wow, like grapefruit just jumps right out of the glass at you, huh? Although not too high in acid, but balanced with a nice body. And what does this wine retail for?
25.
Creamier texture on this. The lees are definitely more forward. How long on the lees?
Oh, it's on the lees it's maximum 12, 14 days on the lees maximum, and not only on the lees. We blend after. It's not only 100% oak, 100% on the lees. We blend after. You know, blending is the priority after to keep the quality for all the year, because the vintage effect is really very important for rosé. With red, if you change your vintage 2 years after, there is no problem. With rosé, people, they want the new vintage in March, April.
Yeah.
So you need to send in January for US.
So everything's vinified separately and then blended?
Yes, sure.
And how much the Le Patrimoine is imported?
Le Patrimoine, today, our total volume available is 200,000 bottles per year.
Okay, good size production.
Yes.
Right,
and the aim is very important to understand that Patrimoine, we want really to place the product. It's because it's 24, 25. It's not a low price, and people need to understand what is it, you know? It's not the same job than for SP. Right. You have to place the product to explain.
So the quality's there. The quality is definitely there for the price.
You.
So tell me about the 946.
So 946, as we said before, it's 3 bases of wine, one from concrete tank, one from stainless steel, and the third one from oak, Austrian oak. It was bottled 1 month ago, so it's very new. This kind of wine you can keep 2 or 3 years if you accept the color, because the color will, with the oxidation, you will have a more orange color in the time if you keep 2 or 3 years. But 946 will be just crazy for June and for the summer. We ask to our customer to open the bottle before the tasting, or to put the wine in a carafe to oxidate a maximum, to oxygenate maximum the wine, because there is really structure. And a good game, it's today we know it's rosé, but you can put the Patrimoine in a dark glass and ask to the people to blind taste. It's very difficult to say it's a rosé wine.
Mm-hmm. I get a lot of like watermelon and like orange rind and white flowers. That's very it's definitely the most elegant of the 3 wines, where the Le Patrimoine was more forward fruit in your face with great ripping acid, and this wine's the 946 super elegant.
It's what we look for, to have a lot of elegance, and a wine very in your mouth. When you have in your mouth, it's just at the center of your mouth, you know, there is no like that. It's very sharp.
Well, Olivier, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
Your wines
for your
are
time.
Delicious and interesting, and can't wait to taste them with some friends.
Sure. I wait for you in France. If you travel, maybe, I don't know when, you visit Provence, and you have a schedule for that, or you have something in your schedule?
When I come to Provence, you're my first call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For John's tasting notes on the wines from this episode, go to www.thehonestpourpod.com. Make sure you catch every episode by subscribing to The Honest Pour with John Lenart at iTunes, Stitcher, or the Google Play Store. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook at The Honest Pour with John Lenart and follow us on Twitter at The Honest Pour. This has been The Honest Pour with John Lenart. Music by Kevin MacLeod.